Here he is, yay! There he is.
How you doing?
Mate, I'd never want to get TKO'd by technology. That's
It's the worst thing. It's the worst, mate, honestly.
You know what I mean? When you get knocked out by technology, that's not a good.
It's showing something, but we won't talk about that.
Mate, the worst part of these lives is hoping that I'm going to get the person on, you know, because it drives me nuts if, you know, I do the big promo push and then the Wi-Fi lets me down, you know what I mean?
No, the Wi-Fi is not the issue, man. There's so many other things going on at the minute, but it's all good, man. We're here.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant. So listen, welcome to episode 3 of the Gunman Live, Insta Live. We're absolutely pleased to have you on, Nate. Absolutely. Like, I can't thank you enough.
No, thank you for having me, man. It's good. It's going well. I see you doing your thing, and it's going really well. So, no, thank you for having me.
Mate, literally, we've only done this is our 3rd episode. I've done it for 1 week, but the response has been superb. Like engagement, people are getting involved. People are really enjoying the platform from the feedback I've been getting, and you know, the whole platform's been set up to give you know supporters the insight into what it is like to be a fighter. You know, the build up, the big fights, you know, training, all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. They only see you turning up and brucking man's up. They don't actually get to see all the hard graft that goes into it, you know, and the knocks that we get. But yeah, I'm not just going to be doing fighters. I'm going to be looking at getting promoters on here, referees, coaches, female fighters. You know, we're going to really mix it up. I've got hoping to get a couple of authors on. I've got a couple of authors lined up that you know, doing books on champion mindset and stuff like that. So we're going to really sort of push it in the next few weeks. So can't wait to get started. I'm going to crack straight on because I've got so many questions to ask you. I've got so much I want to talk to you about. And you're like me, you're a student of the game. You can talk for hours on this stuff. So
let's shut me up tonight.
I've told the guys before you joined. I said, listen, let's grill him. We don't want any like soft questions. We want
man,
the whole thing.
From book. So yeah, go for it. Fire off, man.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. One of our strap lines is you know, fully loaded. The Gunman Insta, fully loaded, no silencer. You know, straight in. All right, let's get straight into it then. So, look, first thing I've got to speak to you about, because as a fan myself, I'm a fan of yours myself, and I love your style of boxing. It is beautiful on the eye. You've got a really eye-catching, unique style. It's easy on the eye. A lovely long guard, really good flow and finesse about your work, and I love your rhythm. You know, you've got a real good economy in your punch output, a sort of capoeira type style. So what I'd like to know is where's this style come from? Is it been a certain fighter that you've sort of picked bits up from, or is it more your martial arts background that's sort of come into your boxing?
Yeah, obviously, yeah, I've done a fair bit of martial arts like over the years, and then like I started off with kickboxing, so like the point scoring style is quite rangy anyway. So there's always been a little bit of kind of like playing at range. But if you look at some of my earlier fights, even if you go to like the DKM archives and look at some of the old school fights there, you'll see I was a bit more wild and scrappy, a bit more wild. And yeah, I was saying the last few years I kind of looked at fine-tuning range control, and it's worked well for me. Like, and I think that's something that I preach about a lot when I'm teaching. Whenever I'm coaching, I always talk about range, because for me it's been a game changer. I've had some really tough fights and some fights that probably on paper should have been like really tall orders for me, and you know, just using range very well, being very efficient with the striking, I think is textbook. It's textbook for me. Yeah.
I mean, I think I said in the promo, you make Michael Jackson look like RoboCop. You've got a really smooth, you are the smooth operator, and I've always loved like rhythm, flow, finesse, boxers and movers. I've always liked that style. I always think if you just go in for a trade-off and a tear-up, you're making the fight 50-50. And when someone like you you're too good to be making fights 50-50. You're too good for that.
It does no justice, doesn't it? Like anyone, whenever you're fighting, like you've always got a puncher's chance, isn't you? Like anyone can have a good shot, and you know that is part of fighting. You can't knock it. Like, but there's so much skill that goes into fighting, especially if you have a good camp and you train hard. Like you don't want to waste that, you know. So you have to have your style.
What I've done is for the users that haven't seen that style, I'm going to just flip this round, and I'm just going to show you a bit of your training. And I think I took this clip because I think this really summarizes your style quite nicely, and I love it. So I'm just going to flip this around here. So here you are here. So this is you just doing a bit of training in Yorkies, and we'll come on to Yorkies in a bit. So you're just so nicely balanced. You're seeing everything. You know, great feet, really light on your toes. Beautiful head movement, hand placement, lovely. Rolling your shoulders so nicely. You know, you're almost built for this, Nate. You've got like this really lovely frame, almost Conor McGregor-like frame, you know, in terms of like your breadth of your chest, and it means you can really get into your hooks, you know. And you're always well conditioned. I never see you out of shape. Look at that footwork, beautiful.
No.
Mate.
So
you know,
that particular bit of pads and sticks there was first I got a shout out Fabs. So he's over in Madeira now. He's moved away, but like really great guy, but excellent pad man.
Yeah,
I worked with him quite a lot, and I think that's the key there. Is what I would say is to anybody who's having a camp for a fight, you've got to work with people and build that relationship for starters, and you've kind of got to get to know each other. So like we have a relationship, and that shows in our training. So like he understands me and I understand him as a pad man, and yeah, that's key, because that was about 2 weeks out from I think that was a CSL show, and I fought Storm Willis, and that was another tough fight. Great.
Yeah, I saw that fight. Yeah, and that was a good fight. That he was decent, that guy. Yeah.
But yeah,
I remember
Fabs actually did my last entrance track as well when I fought at BKFC. So he did the music for that. So he's like multi-talented. He's not just a pad man. So yeah, I just got to give him a shout out because he's great.
Big shout out.
That's where you want to be firing off for me when I'm in camp and I'm smooth like that. Then I know I'm quite ready.
Yeah, mate. The chemistry, you can see the chemistry with your coach, and that's really important, isn't it? You know, to have that sort of chemistry. So listen, I described your style just now. The words that I used was, you know, finesse and flow and rhythm. These were all the words I was using. Footwork, composure, economy in your punching, all that kind of stuff. How would you explain your style? If you was telling someone who had never seen you fight before, what would you explain? How would you explain for someone to watch out for?
So for me, I think there's two things. I think there's my style, like my movement is quite elusive, and generally, like you can see in that video that I do move about quite a lot. But when it comes to actually fighting, it's a little bit different. I'm a little bit more kind of upright, a little bit more rangy. So it's picking your moments, and you know, you don't want to be like a one-trick pony and only have one style. You've got to be able to adjust yourself depending on the challenge and the opponent in front of you. So these fights I've had recently, and I don't move like that at all. You know, I keep at range, and I do textbook boxing A to B style, and then if I need to get out of a corner, I need to circle around, and I can play about a little bit. So that's what I like about having those different styles. You got to blend them. Yeah.
So favorite boxer of all time?
Easy one. Roy Jones Jr., man, that's an easy one. Easy. I think he's the GOAT, man. I think he's the GOAT, and it's good that he's still fighting. People knock him, they say like, "Oh, his time is done," and that. But you know, like for myself, when I think about when I'm getting on a little bit, I kind of want to still be getting in the ring. I don't want to kind of hang up the gloves at any point. Yeah, like it's a part of who I am. So who is anyone else to take that away from you? Especially when you put so many years into something, and you know it's part of your heart and soul. You can't stop somebody.
Yeah, no. And honestly, it's been a pleasure watching your journey. You know, watching your fight is exciting. You're an exciting fighter. Who's your current favorite boxer right now? Who do you want to see? Like when they're on, you tune in. Who is that for you?
You know what? Obviously, for obvious reasons, I'm really into the bare knuckle at the minute, and I really like Conor Turney. And he might not like me saying this, but I see shades of myself in his work. So I kind of look up to him in a way. Conor Turney's great. I love his style. But also, you know, Platinum Mike Perry. He's just a character, isn't he? He's fun to watch. Everything from press conferences up into like fight night. He's just like, explosive and entertaining. So really and truly, I'm tuned into the BKFC a lot at the minute. So
well, we'll come on to that. So how did you get started? I mean, I'm pretty sure you started in martial arts first and then evolved into your boxing, and you did it that way around. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, so I first started training like 2010, and I did like your point style kind of kickboxing, and then I moved into K1. so like your full contact, a little bit of knees and elbows worked. Amateur, and got myself up to a semi-pro British title. And then I just kind of fell into boxing. I just fell into it. It's easier to find fights. It's a little bit more of an audience. And just since probably about 2015, I've just been cracking on with the boxing.
Yeah, easier than 8-limb fighting or 4-limb fighting, if you like, or 6-limb fighting, if you know what I mean. Because you only got the two gloves to worry about.
In some ways, but I'd say it swings and roundabouts, because I think there's a skill set in boxing that you just don't see generally across like kickboxing. Like I think it swings and roundabouts. It's not to say one's easier than the other, but it's you got to tailor yourself to what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how did you how did you find Yorkies? How did that come about?
So Yorkies has become like my second home, really. Like, I fight for GB top team, and I'm in a privileged position because it's an amazing team and I absolutely love it there. But I've been with Yorkies for so long, and I'm fortunate enough to be coaching there. And in 2016, the gym I was at before closed down. It was a local one in Mitcham, and I needed somewhere to go. And I tried a few different places. It wasn't quite the right fit, but it's like I say, it's my second home. So I'm like furniture there already, mate. It's crazy. It's crazy. Time's going quick, man. It's a
great gym. It's a great. I've only ever gone there really Sundays, and it's a great gym. I like Sundays because it's nice and empty, and it feels like my own gym. And it's been it's got that homely feeling. I've always loved it there. Someone introduced me to it years ago, and I think it's a really, really good gym. And having a good home and a solid base is always good for any fighter, right?
Yeah, I think it's the people that make the gym as well. You know what I mean? Like bricks and mortar and all that. But I think it's the people. And we've got a good bunch of people down there. Obviously, Trace and Telm run the place, and they do a great job at that. And I think it is, for me, it's like I don't see myself kind of ever not being a part of the Yorkies family. So I enjoy teaching there at the minute. We do the 3 classes a week, and that's good for me. And I've got my clients down there as well, so I get to do stuff during the day around the classes, so it keeps me active. Yeah,
no, absolutely, yeah. And so your involvement with GB Top Team. So from outside looking in, and just correct us as supporters looking in. So I thought you was at Yorkies, and then you kind of went to GB Top Team to get that extra gear in your fighting. Was it that way round, or?
Yes.
You went there to that extra sparring, that extra quality in your work?
Yeah, I've had my eyes set on the bare knuckle for the last couple of years, really, since like start of lockdown. And I'm sitting there watching these fights and thinking, I can hang with some of the best guys in there, no doubt. But there's got to be a bit more of a variation in my trading, and there's so much knowledge at GB, and like so much experience, and so many different styles. So you're always learning. Like the second you walk through those doors, you're always learning.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's amazing. So why did you why did you go into white collar rather than into the amateurs?
Oh, you know what? It's gonna sound a bit funny, but the white collar's flashy, isn't it? Like the amateur boxing, I think it doesn't have that kind of audience that you get at the white collar, and some of the spirit on the fight night is what I go for, like the energy and the atmosphere.
Yeah,
that's what makes a fight for me.
Yeah.
So that was probably the first kind of like attraction, but
yeah. So you don't want to be having a scrap in like a small hall.
Yeah, this is it. And you know what? There's a style to the amateurs as well. It is very kind of like, it can be very point scoring, and there's a time and place for that, but I don't want to be going in and doing like 3, 4, 5 rounds of like rangy point score, and I want to have a tear up sometimes, and that's quite hard to find in the amateurs.
Yeah. So what your general consensus of white collar? It has this stigma of being man from the dog and duck, comes out the pub, has one fight for charity. He swings windmills, and he's drinking beer in his training camp, and white collars, white collar, and it's no good. But I've talked about this before. It gave me a platform. I didn't start boxing until I was in my 30s, and it gave me a platform to be able to showcase my skills. I couldn't have gone in the amateurs at 30. I couldn't turn pro at 30. So it gave me a platform where I was able to come in, rustle some feathers, and actually have a platform to fight on. So I've got no sort of bones about it. But like, I've seen some brilliant fighters at white collar level, yourself included. You know, and I like to think I beat most of those pub guys. You know, so there's some good fighters, mate. There's some good fighters. There's guys that are, you know, we've got a show at DKM next week. The guy is headlining. It's one of Harry Gay Cup, Box Cup, Kane Corby. So there's some good fighters on there. But yeah, it's just a stigma of white collar. Sometimes, you know, do you find yourself sometimes embarrassed by that stigma that comes around it if you say I'm a white collar fighter? Or do you kind of just like, they don't really know what they're talking about?
Yeah, no, it's definitely nothing to be sniffed at. And, you know, like, my instinct is always like, well, if that's your opinion, come and show us why then, you know.
Yeah.
That's why, like, I accept the challenge, you know what I mean? So that's the mindset I always think when I see somebody that kind of like sniffs at white collar. I'm like, okay, it's easy to say that, but until you've done it. And I get that there's a few promotions out there that are kind of still a little bit, you know, you pay your dues and then you turn up on the night kind of thing. Yeah. And that is out there, but it's few and far between. It's a good caliber, very good caliber.
Yeah, you see some, like I said, you see some good fighters. I'm commentating now, Nate, and mate, I'm telling you, I'm seeing some very good fighters on these shows now. You know, I'm commentating now. With the commentary comes a bit more research and watching more fights, you know, that aren't around me, for example. So I'm watching different fights from different divisions, and there's some really good fighters out there. And there's some really good fighters in the gyms that aren't even fighting. You know that. There's some brilliant fighters in the gyms. They're not even having fights.
Yeah,
you know, at any level.
So you think it's different. Yeah. Like I did judging up at CSL just the other week, and you just see it from a different angle, and you're taken back. It's like you actually get perspective where you think, actually, we get in and we do this, and you're kind of in the fight, but mentally you're not there in fight mode, and you get to see the work that's done on the night, and it just puts it into perspective. It's entirely different. It is entirely different.
Mate, getting punched in the head at any level is not good for your health. So respect to anyone who can get in there and have it. You know what I mean? Like, literally, it's not good for you. It's not good for you taking punishment at any level. So, you know, you're putting your life on the line, you know, and people can get injured in there, you know, and so you've got to have respect to anyone at any level, I think, you know. That's just my thoughts on white collar anyhow. Guys, anyone who's in on the group, put some questions in, and I'll address them to Nate. So if you've got any good questions, fire them away. But yeah, so the other thing I was going to say, can you remember your first fight?
Yeah, so my first fight was against Wes Crane, and it was a K1 kickboxing up in Luton back in like, I think 2015.
Yeah.
And it was literally just 3 rounds of me getting my head kicked in. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah, like literally turned up like a day's notice. I've been training for ages. I've been on my coach at the time, like, get me a fight. And he calls me up in the evening, goes, I've got a fight for you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is it? And he goes, it's K1 up in Luton. So we rolled up there. First 30 seconds, just absolutely blew my load straight away. And then the rest of the fight, he just beat me around the ring. It was good. He's a legend. Like, we keep in touch. Like every year on our anniversary, we drop a message. And yeah, he's great. Like he's won titles and stuff. And you know, I'm a fan of his. And I call him a mate as well. You know what I mean? He's good. We've got each other on Insta still all these years later.
Yeah, no, that's quality. So let's just see what we've got here. So we've got Cheeky Creations 1999. Yes, man like Nate and the Gunman. Yes, big up. Thank you for supporting the channel. We've got Jay Constantino. What was the transition like between BKB and boxing? Boxing and BKB, I think he means. What was the transition like, and how different are the skill sets for each?
So I think there's room in bare knuckle to box. There definitely is, and I think I showcased that. You know, I'm very confident that I can continue to do so, and that's what I intend to do. I intend to go into my next bare knuckle and put on another good boxing display.
Yeah.
But generally, when you look at some of the fights, there's a lot more come forward attitude, and it's easy to get drawn into a war. You know, it's very easy, and I think that's the thing that I was most mindful of, really kind of making that step towards bare knuckle is, you know, what works for me, and not getting drawn into the brawl and the scrap if I don't need to.
Yeah.
You know? So, but yeah, definitely, like, you feel the punches differently. there's no real way to explain it. Like much like when you told somebody who's never really boxed before what it's like getting hit with gloves on, they don't really get it until they've done it. It's the same thing with bare knuckle. It's just different.
Hurts a bit more, I take
it.
Even
feel it.
Even just a little nick.
Yeah,
even just a little nick. Yeah. Oh, I don't know, mate. I don't know how you do it, if I'm honest, man. But you know, like, you know, massive respect for getting in there with, you know, no gloves on and, you know, just a bit of support on your wrists and going to war. I mean, I've always been a defensive fighter as it is. You know, I don't like getting hit. Who does? No one likes getting hit, really, do they? And you know, when you get hit now, it's cutting you up, and you can really do some serious damage. But yeah, it's really growing, isn't it? It's growing huge in this country.
It's blowing up. I mean, like, they've got a couple good events coming up soon, which I'll be tuning into, and like my last opponent's on this, I'll be cheering him on because, you know, he's a good lad, and I think he's going to do well. And yeah, it's explosive because you see the jab knocking people out. It's like it's just insane, isn't it? You just think of a stiff jab putting somebody down.
Wow, yeah, it's the damage levels of bare knuckle is just, mate. I think it's sobering if you haven't done it, you just can't imagine it. You know, like, it's really, you know, quite brutal. But you know, it's a skill because you can't afford to be getting hit and taking shots for no reason. Even more so when you got no gloves on. So yeah, listen. How many titles have you got? How many, you must have like a million. You must have like a million titles on your mantelpiece. I bet you probably have to open the front door and you tiptoe over like loads of gold.
Yeah, a few.
You know, like a bit like Santa Claus coming in with his stack down the chimney.
Yeah. In the last few years, I've picked up a few. CSL was a great one.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, DKM, I've boxed there so many times. I've had a couple titles over the years with DKM. I was a little bit heavier, so I did the light heavy a few years back, and so I've done Czech Hook as well, which was another good show.
So
great crowd at Czech Hook promotions.
Really that looks quite small and enclosed, doesn't it? Yeah, it's really around you, isn't it? That you know, it's really, a bit like the Clapham Grand when you fight at the Clapham Grand. I found that, you know, everything's around you. It's really intense, the environment.
You definitely feel the pressure more. Like, I think the atmosphere can easily sway your performance. You know, if you don't kind of stay mentally cued on. Like, the Grand's a good one. I like it a lot. I love boxing there, but I definitely noticed the atmosphere and on the night.
It's like a cauldron. I fought the Grand once. It's like a cauldron. It really is. Everything's on top of you. Serious pressure. Nate Hind, future BKFC champ. Let's effing go. LJ Led.
Yes, Joe. Yes, mate. We'll get it very soon, mate. Very soon.
Yeah. Thank you for the support. D's Gual.
Yeah.
I'm doing crap pronouncing these names. It says, "Come on, coach."
Yeah, love that. Appreciate it.
So you reckon? I mean, I reckon you must have at least 5 titles, right? Across at least.
In the last 3 years, I've picked up 4 titles. So done quite well. With
it. Mate. Yeah, you've been busy.
Especially since COVID, full steam ahead. Really, kind of just keen to get back into it.
Yeah, great show, Gunman. Big up, Nate. That's from Brantley. Thank you very much. So listen, me and Nate have one thing in common, and that is a loss to pretty boy George Schwartz. And listen, as I said, this show is fully loaded, no silencer. So let's talk about the bad moments as well as the good moments. We can't just talk about your glory. Let's hear about a bit of controversy. And listen, I'm going to just quickly show you the first round of your fight against pretty boy George. In which, and if anyone wants to comment on this, feel free to comment, okay? But basically, there was a knockdown in that fight, and I spoke with George about this, and I'll give you his thoughts in a moment, but let's just have a look at this knockdown. Can you guys tell me if you think this is a knockdown? Yes, Niall Sarker, best in the game, he says. Best middleweight in London.
Yes.
These guys.
Yes.
Argue with me, I've got time. We've got time to argue with you. We can argue all day, but I love that. So here you go. Here's this knockdown. Tell me, guys, was this a knockdown or not? Okay, I'm going to turn my camera around. So here it is. There's George on the left. there's Nate on the right, okay? And watch this closely. Is this a knockdown or not? Okay. So that wasn't counted as a knockdown. That wasn't counted as a knockdown, okay? So I just want to hear everyone's opinions, okay? I'm going to just show it one more time, okay? So there could be no doubts in anyone's mind. And then we're going to discuss this, okay? So here we go again. Last time. I'm going to try and zoom in now so you can see closely, guys. Is this a knockdown, okay? Is this a knockdown? So that wasn't scored a knockdown. I was at that fight. I wasn't commentating, but I was at that fight. It was a close fight. Had that knockdown been scored, you would have won that fight, and you would have unified all belts in the division. So it's fine margins. I mean, the guys here, let's just see their feedback, and I'm going to ask you, Nate. I want to hear your opinion. Okay, so guys in the comment. In fact, let's hear the man first, and then we'll hear what the fans are saying. What's your thoughts on that, and how did you feel about that?
Yeah, definitely. Like even now, I scored that as a knockdown. I think having kind of judged as well recently, I think working alongside referees quite closely and on that show that I judged up in CSL, you kind of go over the rules, and a clean shot landed, and the opponent touched the canvas, so that is a knockdown. So I do score it as a knockdown, but I respect the referee's decision. You can't expect the ref to kind of be on the ball 24/7. You know what I mean? So he made his decision. He didn't see a knockdown, so it wasn't a knockdown. So I may feel like it is. Everybody else may feel like it is. The camera may show it as a knockdown, but it wasn't, because it wasn't scored. So, and I respect that at the end of the day. And you know, we talk about kind of like ups and downs. Yeah, you could see it that way, but for me, it's still a win, because I got to fight somebody who I now have a good relationship with, and I've learned a lot from, and some good things came from it. So win, lose, draw, as long as you come away with a learning, it's a positive.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I got robbed once, right? I beat this guy from pillar to post, won every round, and they gave the other guy the fight, and I almost quit boxing over it. I was absolutely depressed me. I mean, you've handled it pretty well from that, and it's a big fight that was for you. That was one of your biggest fights on the circuit at the time, if you remember back, and that's cost you. And I almost quit boxing over a robbery. I was like, well, what's the point in me doing this? I'm spending time away from my son. I'm spending time away from my kids. I'm going running, and I'm getting punched in the face down at Yorkies on the weekly. I may as well just sit at home and play PlayStation. You know, there's no point in me doing this. So I got disheartened by it. But listen, let's just hear what George had to say on that knockdown. Okay, this is what George had to say on it, and I'm just going to quickly pop to him. I'm not stirring the pot here. Well, I am, because it's
Just
my show.
a little bit.
But we've got to just hear what he had to say on it, okay? I've had to put it to him. I have to ask you, is about some of the dubious knockdowns that you've had.
What do you mean by dubious knockdowns?
Well, I don't know. I think people would have thought. I think people thought you got knocked down in the Nate fight and in the Garfield fight.
So
we've got to ask the controversial questions.
Look, I'm happy to talk the truth. The Nate fight, that was definitely, I was tripped over. From what I think, that was tripped over.
Laces undone.
I definitely tripped over. That's probably my awkward style. That's my awkward style. I'm tripping over myself.
Yeah, man.
I'm tripping over myself.
I'd do that, mate.
I haven't.
So that was that then. So he said he tripped over. Well, yeah, let's see what the people are saying, okay? So there's some of the comments then. I mean, a knockdown in my eyes. Knockdown GB 37091. Nathan knocked Pretty Boy down, no doubt about it. Luke Petty. Ricardo da Silva, 100%. Yes, he froze up and went down. No, Osaka, 1000%. So I think and you know, listen, I'm here to say it as it is, and I've said this to George, and I will say it to him again. I felt it was a knockdown when I was there. I thought he was knocked down in that fight. I thought he was knocked down in the Garfield fight as well, in the last fight. Not that it would have mattered. I think he was clearly up, but in your fight, I think it was a knockdown. And I'm just being honest. You know, as I said, I'm not. You know, this channel is not about mucking around. Here we go, Conor Gilly, Gunman trying to cook up a right storm here. Well, yeah, mate. You know what I mean?
The people have spoken, right? The people have spoken and all of that. No,
yeah,
you know what? I'm happy being the people's champ. I'm more than happy being the people's champ.
And then you got GB370. Guess he's got long laces. Laugh my ass off. That's brilliant.
I like that one.
Tripped over a fist, maybe. Ricardo da Silva. That's absolute gold. Listen, I've got to cook up a storm because, you know, as I said, you know, we're not just here just to blow smoke up people's asses. Bad decisions and robberies and mistakes in boxing is part of the game. And as I said, I've had a robbery happen. I was boxing on as a away fighter on a show, and one referee gave the guy all 3 rounds on the judge's card. I mean, it was impossible to score it like that. It's like it had been scored before the fight. So, and it really got to me, you know, and you know, some people handle it better than others. You've handled it really well, and you've taken it as a lesson, and that's, you know, that's commendable, mate. Because I'll be blown full, you know, I'll be going absolutely mad
boxing,
about that.
You know, like, but it's part and parcel with boxing now, isn't it? Like, I think you've always kind of, if you don't finish your opponent, you're leaving it up to the ref and the judges, and that's on you at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And I think there's an element that you've got to accept that, and also, like, why are you in the ring? Like, why are you in there? Are you in there fixated on a certain thing, or are you in there just because you want to be in there and you want to do it? For me, I love to fight. I get into fight, so I'm happy with the opportunity to fight. You know, so for me, it's not even a thing that I have to take it well. I was happy to fight that night. It was a good fight. It was a good card, and I came away happy. So.
But it's interesting. Why is boxing the only sport where you don't know the score while the fight is going on? You know, if you come into a room, you turn the TV on, and the football's on, you can see that team's 2-1 up. Or you go in the room and there's tennis on, you can say, oh look, he's 1 set to love up, and it's 5-3. So you can see who's winning. With boxing, you can't see who's winning. You come in and you don't know who's winning. So they can manipulate the scoring. And I really think we've got to start in our sport to get rid of this. We have to start putting the scores up. So if you beat the absolute shit out of someone, put the score up at the end of it. And if they score it to the other guy, then it's just going to be laughable. And it will get rid of this robbery, get rid of the robberies, score the fights, put the score up, let the fighters know who's winning, let the coaches know who's winning. What do you think of that?
Yeah, you know what, it is harming the sport, definitely. Like, I think, you know, we're all kind of anticipating Usyk and Fury, and is that going to happen now? Like, and a lot of people have a lot to say about Fury's last fight, and I think it's definitely harming the sport. But also it keeps the fans on the edge of the seat, doesn't it? You know, not knowing how the fight's going and kind of waiting to the end of the fight to see the result. So there's 2 sides of it. You know, it is a spectator sport at the end of the day, and we've got to have.
No, I get that. No, I get that, but yeah, basically they won't put the scores up because they won't be able to. They won't be able to manipulate the results. So again, Dizagar is coming up with some crackers tonight. He's on fire. Real quote there: mistakes, robberies, and controversies are often found in boxing matches. Unfortunately, it didn't bring justice to many of us, and he's so right there. And then we've got Ricardo again. Hopefully, I think he's saying AI boxing referee, it would solve issues like that. I'm thinking it means AI. But I think you need human element, though. You know, we don't really want, you know, results being scored by punch stats, do we? You know.
I mean, what are you going to do? Like, do a live playback, like in the 1 minute, the 1 minute between the rounds, do a live playback and watch the fight? Like, it's not going to work, is it?
No. Also, with especially pro boxing, I can jab you 20 times. You could hit me once and knock me down. You win the round. It doesn't matter that I've jabbed you 20 times and I'm 20-1 up.
Yeah.
You know, so that sometimes, like, the punch stats won't tell you the truth. You know, if someone's just pecking someone, the other person smacks him and he does a chicken dance. usually the chicken dancer won't you normally be winning that round, you know? So
well, this is
yeah,
it.
the
At the
stats
end
won't
of the day,
lie.
boxing, it's not like, it's not maths, it's not science, you know. It's like you've got to have a bit of heart in it.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start taking that away from the sport, like it's not going to be the same. So like, yeah, AI and all of that. I don't really want to see how that pans out in the next few years with boxing and any kind of combat sport, really.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So why bare knuckle then? What drove you from going? You know, your last fight was like check hook, wasn't it? Was check hook your last one, or was DKM your last one? Check hook, I think, was your last one, wasn't it?
Check hook was my last, yeah.
Sheldon,
Was my last
was it Sheldon you fought? You won a title and then just bounced. That's the
yeah,
way.
just collect.
Just collect another belt. I'm out.
I would have loved to have gone back there. There's some really good fighters on that show as well, and it just panned out that I landed in the bare knuckle a bit sooner than I anticipated, which is good for me because I kind of been wanting it the last couple of years, like so. Yeah, I think Czech probably would have seen me back there, and you know what, they still may. There's a lot of shows that I still kind of, you know, I'm curious about. There's some new fighters up and coming as well. But like I'm contracted in at the minute, and I've got a goal. So when I set my eyes on something, I go for it. And you know, I do want that British strap. You know, I do want it.
Yeah. Yes, Nate. That's the spirit, mate. That's the spirit. And I can speak for all of us. We'll all be cheering you on. You know, it's going to be an incredible journey, and we can't wait to see it unfold. So listen, let's talk to the people that don't know about bare knuckle boxing. So after my promo vid, I actually did have, you know, my neighbour actually said to me, I didn't know there was such a thing as bare knuckle boxing. So let's talk to these people that don't know enough about it. So to the weight divisions, are they the same as traditional boxing?
No, they vary promotion to promotion. So my last fight I was at 73 kilograms, and I weighed in for welterweight. So if you look at like BKB, they do it a little bit different. Generally, the weight class is a bit heavier.
Yeah.
So yeah, like welterweight. It's first time going down that light. I kind of want to stick to 73. I felt nice and light, which suited me.
Yeah. How are you finding the weight cut?
Don't. It gets harder as you get on a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I water loaded like a motherfucker. I swear to God, I had like 10 litres of water before I cut that weight, man. That was a rough one, but it was good.
I think I saw you before. I saw you bowling around the gym, like, you know, a full healthy 80 kg, and then bang, there you were. And I don't know how you did it, because you look great on the scales in your pro debut.
Well, I had a lot of guidance. Like I've been doing the right thing for all of the fights. You know, I've always kind of like loaded up well and then cut very intelligently. But I've got to give praise to Banny and Corey over at GB Top Team, because you know they've given me a lot of direction since I've been there. They made that weight cut so much more easy for me. They just like fine-tuned and tweaked kind of like timing and a little bit of nutrition for me. So yeah, it made a difference. It really made a difference. Just a few tweaks to the diet in the last couple of weeks out.
Mate, honestly, we're going to get onto your pro debut, but mate, on the scales, you look fantastic. You look like you had a bulletproof vest under those abs. Do you know what I mean?
Abs on abs.
Yeah, honestly, you look fantastic, in fantastic shape, and you put in a performance, a really strong performance. I think you won every round, wasn't it? I think some cards almost had you, 46-50 or something, wasn't it? Some of them.
Yeah, I've got the knockdown in the 5th round as well. So I think that sealed the deal, you know, because I do feel like I was up against a ticket seller. You know, he had a good crowd with him. And obviously, that sits in the back of your mind, especially coming from certain experiences. It does make it right. Yeah, I've got to put the guy down at some point during the fight, you know.
You say it well. Yeah, you say it well. But Gary Fox though, he's a wily old fox. Excuse the pun.
Yeah.
Because isn't he like, he's a pretty decorated boxer? Like probably 18. I think he had 18 fights or something, and like pro fights or something, isn't he?
Fights. And,
pro.
He held a pro title as well. So
yeah,
you know, when I saw that record, obviously I thought, okay, look, you know, I'm the underdog here. So tall order on paper, definitely a tall order, and respect to him. He's an absolute heart and legs, and he knows it because he really is. he's just solid. Like he's just solid.
Carol, Fox got hunted.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, literally. Fox Hunter. I'll take that title.
Fox Hunter, yeah, the Fox Hunter, yeah. But like, that was like on the scales when you lined up next to him, he looked like a small man on you. You know, you just looked like you had reach, height. You know, of course he was tough, but you just, to me, I thought, oh right, you look like you're gonna bruck this guy up. You know what I mean? I think I could see some serious damage coming his way. You know, and by the end, his lip was split open. You know, he could have been talking like that by the end. You know, like it was absolutely, you know, he was absolutely turned inside out. You turned him over like a pancake on Shrove Tuesday.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly. I mean, like, to be fair, I think a lot of seasoned fighters probably would have kind of like quit on the stall, you know. But that's what, like I say about him, he's just absolutely solid. Like he's a tough fighter.
Yeah. Solid. So let's talk about your conditioning then. So I want to know how you get these like shovels, because like you've told me in the past that some of these guys have got hands like, you know, like rocks, you know, scaffolder hands, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a man who sits at my laptop most days.
Honestly, mate, it's a different thing. Like I've been told off a few times for banging away at that wall in Yorkies. Like that's a no-no, but it's also a must. Like, so yeah, I do work on them once a week, and I just kind of like chip away at them, and just it's not going to happen overnight. The conditioning, it does take time, so it's a long game. But they're good now. They're good now. I did crack this left in 2 places, so that had me out for a couple of months. But I'm good as gold. I've had plenty of physio on it, like grip strength's back to normal, and I'm back banging the bag and sparring and stuff. So
do you spar bare knuckle?
No, MMA gloves. So sparring MMA gloves, little 4 or 6 ounces. But also there's a time and place for the heavier gloves. I like to have the 16s on, especially for sparring, because it does keep you in check with your speed. But bag work, bare knuckle. Bag work, bare knuckle,
yeah. I mean, your hands must be so much quicker though. You know, when you've got no gloves on, the speed must be. That's what must be really enjoyable, you know. Even when I'm shadow boxing, your hands are much quicker.
You just fly through, yeah.
Yeah, they just fly through. It's absolutely beautiful. So the weight cuts, you're going to stay at 73. You bashed up Fox, you've hunted him down, and now you've got his tail hung up with the rest of the belts.
All the other trinkets. I might get
what's next? If you walk around with a fox in your head like this, you're like, all right, guys, where's the next fight at? But yeah, so what's next then? What's next? I mean, are you allowed to tell us much about your plans? When are we next going to see you out? When are we next going to see some entertainment from you?
So as late as March or as early as January, that's all I know. So basically, I'm looking to get out as soon as I can.
Beautiful.
I'm pretty much ready to go. I'm all healed up, and I just want to get back out there. It needs to make sense. Yeah, it's great having a good following as well. So I want to do something that makes sense logistically. I want to have another good crowd come down, because that makes it for me. Yeah, we have a massive crowd at Palace.
So what's your route to the strap then? You've already told me British title. So what's the route to the strap? Do you have in mind like sort of how that's mapping out, or you just leave it to the others? Leave it to the team.
No, I've got 3 fights in my contract, so you know I want to get 3 good wins, and from there I can kind of like assess my situation and go from there. But I've got 3 fights yet to have. Yeah. So I take each fight as it comes. As long as I'm making progress and each fight has something unique to offer me, there's a good challenge there, and it makes sense logistically, then you know I'm just going to crack on, much like I have done with the amateur circuit. And the white collar, just crack on with the fights bit by bit, 1 fight at a time.
Any reason why you've been a bit inactive? Because or is that just how it is in bare knuckle? You can't fight that often. Because when was your last fight? It feels like you haven't fought for a while. It feels like you've been a bit.
It's tough. It's tough not being in the ring every couple of months. It is tough. Like it's a learning, really, isn't it? I think most of the bare knuckle guys do fight a little bit less frequently, and it is a part of the sport. You go in there and you're going to break your hand, and they're going to need to recover. Yeah. So there's an element of hands just needing to be well rested before you go again. unless you get a bit lucky with like an early stoppage or something, which does happen.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you think like naturally one fight a year is standard?
I personally, I want to do more. I want to do at least 2 a year. If things go well, then that's the goal. I want to do at least 2 next year. If I can get out nice and early, January, February, then we can definitely go again mid-year, end of the year latest.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, no, so yeah, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Obviously, I'm just conscious of your time because I know that you've spared me a lot of time, and I'm truly blessed and grateful for you coming on and, you know, giving us some of your time and give us some of your insights to your career. And you know, as I said at the very start of our conversation, I'm a big fan. You know, I've always liked, you know, that style of boxing. I've always liked boxers and movers, the art of hit and not get hit. Yeah, it's a fan-friendly, eye-catching style that you've got, and I speak for everyone on here that, you know, we wish you all the best of luck with your BKB. I'm going to have to try and get along to one of them, to be honest with you. So make sure you get me some VIP.
Yes, mate.
Tickets,
We'll
you know.
bring you down. It'll be good to have you, mate. But we're going to catch up before then, anyway. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, as I said, you know, we wish you all the best of luck on your journey.
Thank you, mate.
Go smash it. And yeah, I was down at Yorkie's the other day, but I didn't see you down there. But you know, again, I've got to give a big up to Yorkie's as well because it's a fantastic gym. I absolutely love that gym, and the people that are down there, including yourself. So you guys keep doing what you're doing, and it's great to see you coaching now and helping others and passing your wisdom on. And these people are in safe hands under your leadership. So
thank you, mate.
just keep doing what you're doing, Nate. And yeah, we wish you all the best of luck, okay?
Thanks so much. We'll chat again soon.
Yes, my man. Brilliant.
Take care.
Yeah, take care, pal.
See you later.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.